This is a quick review of standard form numbers to normal numbers and back again. So that's the idea of going from normal numbers to standard form numbers. This is a quick review. If you need more than this, you need to go back and do a detailed lesson. So this is for students who've learned standard form and are now just want a quick recap. Okay, so let's look at the first two examples that I've written down. You've got 4.3 multiplied by 10 to the 4, and underneath 4.3 multiplied by 10 to the negative 3. So the number, the first part of the number is the same for both, you'll notice. But the significance is they're both multiplied by 10, but one 10 is to the power of 4 and one 10 is to the power of negative 3. So let's start with the first one when we're multiplying by 10 to the 4. That means multiplying by 10 4 times. So the quick way of doing this is if I write the number 4.3 and if I'm multiplying by 10 4 times, it means that my decimal point, we often talk about it moving, a decimal point doesn't move, it's actually the numbers moving. But I can look at it getting 10 times bigger and then another 10 times bigger and then another 10 times bigger and another 10 times bigger. So what that means is it's getting 10 times bigger, 10 times, another 10 times bigger, another 10 times bigger, another 10 times bigger, because each time I'm multiplying it by 10 because I'm multiplying it by 10 4 times. In the gaps I can fill those with zeros, and here would be where the decimal point is. So written as an ordinary number, that would become 43,000. So that's my actual answer. Now carrying on and looking at this one where it's negative 3. So for this one here, I'm not multiplying by 10 3 times. Because it's negative 3, I'm actually dividing by 10 3 times. So here again I write 4.3, and remember I'm dividing by 10, so if I divide by 10 the first time it gets 10 times smaller. I'm dividing by 10 again, it's getting 10 times smaller again. And if you're dividing by 10 a third time, it's getting 10 times smaller again. That's where my decimal point is. And remember, we need to put a 0 in front and zeros there. So my answer is 0.0043. And that's my answer. So just recapping that, here a positive indice means I'm multiplying by 10 4 times, so it's getting bigger by 4 multiples of 10. Here it's negative 3, so I'm dividing by 10 3 times because the negative is telling me I'm dividing by 10. 1, 2, 3 times I'm dividing by 10. Put my new decimal point and fill in my zeros, and here is my answer. Okay, so just recapping, we're going to do one more set of examples like that. Here we go, 7.13 multiplied by 10 to the 2. So I want you to quickly think. I would pause the video now. My clue to you is write 7.13 to start with. Do you know what to do? Press pause, have a go. When you've had a go at this question, press play and check you understand it. Okay, so I'm multiplying by 10 twice, which means I'm going to go like 1, so that's 10 times bigger, and that's another 10 times bigger. So here's where my decimal point will be now. So 713 is my answer. Well done if you've got that. If you didn't, go back, make sure you understand what you're doing. Now I'd like you to go on. Can you do this one? So here it's -5, so think about the significance of the negative. Press pause and have a go. Okay, well done. Hopefully you've had a go now. You write your 7.13. I'm just going to move that down a little bit to give myself enough space. So I'm dividing by 10 5 times. So remember, I'm dividing by 10 this time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, decimal point, put my zeros. So my answer for this is 0.0000713. Now, if you didn't get any of those quite right, go back, redo this part of the video, make sure you firmly understand what happens when the power is positive and what happens when the power is negative. Once you fully understand that, we can carry on. So the next stage is going the other way. To go the other way, we need to remember that very much the rule for standard form is there is only one digit in front of that decimal point, and that digit, that's a number between 1 and 9. Okay, so I'm looking for, at the moment, if we look here, this is a 0, so this would not be a digit from 1 to 9, so that's not what I'm wanting. So if I go here, if I go to here, then I still haven't got a digit in front of that where my decimal place would be, that's between 1 and 9. I still don't, here I would. So if my decimal point was here, it would work. So it's 1.7 multiplied by 10. But I don't want to multiply by 10, because if I multiply 1.7 by 10, it's going to get larger. So multiplying it by 10 would make it 17,170. I actually want to divide it by 10. So I know that I need the negative. And how many times is that? Now let me remember. 1, 2, 3, 4. I divided it by 10 4 times. Now just have a look now at this 1.7 and the original number and see that this has to be divided to get to that number. So this must be negative. And that's important. You are aware of that and you put the negative in the right place. So now let's go on to the next one. Remember, where's my decimal point at the moment? And this confuses many people. Have a think. Where do you think the decimal point in 17,000 is presently? Well, if you didn't realise, it's here. And a way of thinking about that is money, £17,000. You would know that's where your decimal point goes. So that's quite important. You understand where the decimal point goes. Now, I need one number that is a digit between 1 and 9 to be in front of my decimal point. Now, at the moment here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 digits, and these aren't between 1 and 9. So here, still not good, here not good, here not good. Now here, some people will stop at this point, but they wouldn't be right, because have I got one digit in front of my decimal point? No. So I need to go to here, and that's where my decimal point would be. So it's 1.7 again, times or multiplied by 10. Now, do I want to multiply it by 10 or do I want to divide it by 10? Now, if we go back and we remember what our number was, it was 17,000. So 1.7, to get back to 17,000, I have to multiply by 10. How many times? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to multiply by 10 4 times. So that there is both my numbers now written in standard form. Notice the negative and when we use that negative, when we're dividing, and here when we need to multiply, because this number has to get back to here, and this number has to get back to this. These are equivalent. They're different ways of writing them, and it's used in science to help us, particularly to compare numbers, because I can immediately see that though these both start with 1.7, this is significantly smaller than this one here. And you will more see this in your science GCSE, so it's a really good thing to get the hang of in maths, because you then can take it to your science GCSE and do really, really well. Okay, review that if you need to, and then continue listening for the next part. So moving on, we're now just going to go through these and write these now in standard form. So press pause and have a go at the first one. My important thing to remember is you only have one digit, which is between 1 and 9 in front of the decimal point. Have a think, how many have you got at the moment? Press pause, have a go, see if you get it right. Okay, so at the moment I have 2 numbers in front of my decimal point, so I only want to have 1. So I'd like my decimal point to be there. So I'm going to write that this is equal to 1.234, because that's what I want it to be, because I want it to be written in that standard form. Okay, so 1 digit between 1 and 9 at the front. And here, if you notice, I've got to multiply it by 10. Now, 1.234 is smaller than my original number, which is 12.34. How many times do I multiply it by 10? Just once. So that's times 10 to the 1. If you didn't put the 1, it wouldn't matter here, because times 10 is the same. If you managed to get that answer, well done. Now press pause, have a go at the second. So, going through the second one, where do I want my decimal point? Well, is it in the right place at the moment? If I look in front of that decimal point at the moment, I have one number, but it's a 0, this digit. And I said to you, we must have a digit from 1 to 9. So no, that's not any good. So I'm going to want that to move to here. And now I'm fine. If I put it here, I'm fine. So again, it's 1.234 again, but I'm going to write times by 10, but is it multiplying by 10? So if I want 0.1234, this original number is smaller than this 1.234. So I actually want to divide by 10. So that immediately tells me it's a negative, and it's negative 1. So that reminds us how to go from a normal number to standard form, or right at the beginning, if you remember, we did a standard form number to a normal. Both are needed in your maths for science and also for your GCSE.